immediately stands out is how all three segments include exactly one misspelled word. In K1, the first L in illusion has been replaced with a Q. In K2, the O in underground has been supplanted by a U. In K3, the word desperately is missing the third E and has had the second E substituted for an A. The prevailing belief within the cryptos community is that these typos are deliberate. They're typically perceived as some sort of clue, and Sanborn has indeed implied or outright stated that that's the case on multiple occasions. Now, it could be illusion with a Q, but it's a very telling phrase as far as an artist's ability to make a code. It's a clue. It is what it is. However, Sanborn has also made statements where it almost sounds like he's only pretending as though the typos were deliberate. Why did you put deliberate misspellings in some of the clues? That's an ancient tool for making codes more difficult to crack. Saying I was sloppy is a good way of saying it. I didn't take tremendous care in what's been deciphered already, because it was... If you want to say it's intentional, because it makes it harder. It's unpredictable. Unpredictability is one of the strengths of difficult code, and I wanted to be as unpredictable as possible. Looking at the overall meaning of the plaintext, it's, well, difficult to parse, and according to Sanborn, that's very much by design. They will be able to read what I wrote, but what I wrote is a mystery itself. There's still things they have to discover once it's deciphered. There are things in there they will never discover the true meaning of. People will always say, what did he mean by that? What I wrote out were clues to a larger mystery. The K1 plaintext is very short, but seems to be alluding to shadows and how they're illusions formed by the absence of light. Light and shadow is a common theme in Sanborn's topography, so perhaps some sort of pattern will form when the sculpture is struck by sunlight at just the right angle, or something to that effect.
There are encoding systems which use pattern, light and shadow, and it's those kinds of systems that I was most interested in using because I'm an artist.
The K2 plaintext is a bit more straightforward by plainly stating that something was buried at these coordinates, which point to a location a few meters south of the sculpture. But in 2013, Sanborn apparently confirmed that what he buried at this location has since been removed. According to a summary of a post-convention dinner attended by Sanborn, the item was a bronze geodetic survey marker made by the United States Geological Survey. They're typically used for things like topography and measuring the distance between locations. That being said, it sounds like the survey marker was only meant to elucidate the meaning of the final plaintext rather than offer clues for deciphering the code. Do you have to be on the CIA grounds in order to solve cryptos? No. So just by reading the text taken from cryptos and posted online, you can solve the puzzle. Well, yeah, that doesn't mean that what I've said in the piece doesn't do something physically there at the agency. You have to decipher the piece and then go to the agency and find that place. Looking at the rest of the K2 plaintext, it makes reference to something invisible and using the Earth's magnetic field. This could be alluding to a compass, which in turn could be a reference to the compass rose etched into the stonework by the west entrance.